if I'm not mistaken, we had a situation of a massive fungus and mold scenario, especially in the Northwest, where essentially whether it was the spores were in the wood prior to, or it was just because the wood was wet, and then they were massively sealing these homes to not allow any free ventilation, and so the wood wasn't able to dry, so it just molded up horribly. I was early on in my construction career. My grandfather was also a structural engineer, and I remember seeing massive, beautiful houses having to be burned down because they were so wrought with mold. That was the best way. That was the easiest way to get rid of them. The simplest way to demo the house was partner with the fire department and do a burn to learn. It really goes back to know what you're using and making sure that what you're using meshes with everything else.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, and then it comes into controls during construction. It's a process. I've heard you talk about it, standard operating procedures and planning, and that's what makes you a good engineer. It starts with the developer. It starts with somebody that wants to build a place, then it comes into the design team, and then the general contractor down to the subs, the manufacturer suppliers, the manufacturers, everybody's involved. It takes hundreds of people to build homes or buildings, 10,000 different parts to make these things function properly. With all this stuff, if we go back to, hey, what's the plan for this stuff? We can do everything we can on the front end and say, hey, here's a good design, and here's manufacturers that have tested, proven materials. And then when it comes to the contractor, what are your on-site controls for protecting materials?